Hey, what's going on, everyone? KDK kiodiekin here. So, if you guys haven't heard, YouTuber Gamers Nexus released a video a couple of days ago in regards to Linus Tech Tips and Linus Media Group flossing over reviews. And this pretty much came up as a result of, I believe, one of his staff members that works in one of the testing stations made some comments against Gamers Nexus and also Hardware Unboxed. And so Gamers Nexus put out a 45-minute expose against Linus Tech Tips. But before we get into that, we definitely want to commend Steve from Gamers Nexus for holding transparency, holding the standard high in terms of testing. And I definitely agree with a lot of his points. This isn't a back and forth between Gamers Nexus and Linus Tech Tips, but these are things that should definitely be talked about, especially in the tech space where YouTubers or content creators, whether they get too big or even if you're small, you should always strive for some type of excellence, unless you're doing some type of comedic thing or comedic presence online. That if you're in the forefront, if you're the first person to get a product and your reputation is pretty much based on accuracy, specs, results, reviews, and testing, then you should treat your situation, especially when businesses are sending you a product, you should treat it with the utmost care and responsibility in terms of putting out a review. And so I have no problems at all with Gamers Nexus video, but we actually need more of this, especially even in the retro gaming community. But however, I definitely want to say that there were a few points that really had me concerned. These are some of the points that he brought up, and honestly, the FTC may even get involved or start looking at things like this. If you guys recall, I even made several videos about the FTC looking at social media content creators about misleading reviews and whatnot. However, they decide to pursue, or even if they decide to look at something like this, these are the parameters in which they have started to monitor social media content creators in terms of disclosing and giving out disclaimers and stating affiliations and partnerships for reasons like that. Now, I do believe that Linus has the best tech presence. I do believe he has the best intentions in mind, but I believe what's happening is his company has gotten so big instead of just, staying on YouTube that he doesn't have he can't duplicate his heart or passion to among his other employees. Obviously, they have a responsibility. I don't know what the crunch time is over there, but I believe his motto is they want up a video every day. Plus, he has several other channels, so they have a raging beast of a timeline that they've created for themselves, where they need to have accuracy. Plus, they're sacrificing accuracy and quality for quantity. And so there are a number of things just to kind of quickly go over what Steve brought up, Gamers Nexus brought up on the video. He said the last 2 weeks LMG is rushing too much, establishing the premise. LTT's own employees agree, based upon video clips that they've shown. This is not drama and risk. Bad data from Linus Tech Tips. All of this is explained in the video. GPU reviews and errors, CPU cooler tests and errors, PSU review errors, CPU review errors, asterisk errors in terms of how they're editing instead of just redoing the video. I remember even back in the day, because I've been following Linus now for about 10 or 11 years, he would add a little supplement toward the end of the video if he had messed up or caught a little something. So looks like now they don't have time to do those kind of things. They're just adding in an asterisk at certain points in the video to clarify what they meant. Ethical concerns, irresponsible actions, and conflicts. If you guys aren't familiar, he auctioned off a billet or a little water plate that was supposed to go on a GPU. I'm not going to go into all that. Make sure you guys watch Gamers Nexus's video. Ethical concerns, not review of Ponage Mouse. Unacceptable, and the community is disturbing, unfair to consumers and manufacturers. And I have to agree, because if you guys are familiar with my channel, if you guys are new, I do a lot of testing of a number of different things, but primarily one of them are single board computers. And one of the things that I've noticed and Linus isn't the only one, if you guys also follow my other social media, I've said I've grown tired of social media content creators and videos on YouTube where the videos are primarily fake. They're fake reviews. They are inappropriate, erroneous tests. And one of the things that I've seen, if you guys could also look at a number of single board computer reviews, such as a Raspberry Pi, Banana Pi, Orange Pi, so forth, you are seeing a lot of videos where content creators and social media people online are saying that there are comparable, or I believe comparable or replaceable or similar single board computers that are out there that are comparable to the Raspberry Pi. I'm not familiar with what language that they've used in some of these videos, but I think you guys get the point. And so what they're doing is, because the Raspberry Pi 4 had been in limited quantity for a number of months, for almost 2 years, people are looking for replacements. And so a lot of those videos have come out where you'll see the Raspberry Pi like, hey, this is a competitive or comparable to the Raspberry Pi, so you can get maybe several other single board computers that have the same similar specs, and it'll give you the same type of performance. And I highly have to disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with that is because you don't know anything about a single board computer until you get into actual development. Buying a single board computer is not like buying a computer that has an Intel chip and an NVIDIA processor, or an Intel chip with an AMD video card, or even vice versa. It's not like buying a computer that has an AMD chip with a ATI type or AMD graphics card. It's not the same. The way with the single board computer works is you have different sock codes, and you also have different kernels, and a lot of the programs that you may want to use on the Raspberry Pi, because that's one of the popular single board computers, it may not be transferable, or it may not be compilable on another single board computer. And certain developers for those particular programs may not even support the board. And to me, and based upon talking to other devs that also work in the space, certain single board computers, they're not going to even touch it because they're a pain in the butt to develop. It's not like the Raspberry Pi has a ton of support. And so where I'm going with this is, let's say, for example, you have 200,000 applications that work on the Raspberry Pi 4, for example, right? Or the Raspberry Pi 3. And then let's say you have the Orange Pi, Banana Pi, or another program or another single board computer come out. A lot of those apps won't run on another single board computer. And the strength and the whole totality of even having a decent single board computer is having a community behind it that's willing to develop. So what most reviewers are doing is they're solely looking at the hardware of a single board computer. This one has 4 gigs of RAM. This one has 8. This one has 4 cores or processors. This one over here has maybe 6 cores for processors, or maybe even 8. And in some cases, most of those applications, even though people try to say, hey, this board is more powerful than a Raspberry Pi 4, or this one's more powerful than an Orange Pi, whatever the case might be, most of those programs don't see all of those cores. So it's totally redundant whether or not something is more powerful if it's not optimized to use the full scope of the board. I do a lot of emulation here, and I can tell you that most cores or most or emulators only use 2, maybe 3, and in some rare occasions, only 4 processors, core processors on a chip. And most of them don't even see the GPU. And most of these single board computers don't even have Vulkan support on a single board computer, depending upon if you're using Linux or whatever front end you're using. Only reason why I said that is because, again, Linus isn't the only one. I've seen that in one of his own reviews, and I don't even think it was him. It may have been him or maybe another staff member, but you'll see reviews like that, just kind of tacking on to what gamersnexus said, is that, you have a channel of 15 million, you have a business or representation, or you have that presence on social media. They could put in the time and effort to do proper testing. And I do development here. You guys know I do a lot of testing. We ported over, we were the first ones to port over retropie to the Pi 4, and also retropie to the Orange Pi 5. There was a lot of testing involved, and I didn't know a lot of things until I got 5 to 6 months in development. But yet you will see content creators post a video simply because they bought a piece of hardware, took it out of the box, they want to tell you about it, and all they're doing is running a desktop scenario for maybe gaming, or showing you what applications may run in that instance. But if I'm going to do a comparison about a single board computer to show whether or not it's comparable to another single board computer, I need to know how many applications can run on the Raspberry Pi. Let's say there's 200,000. Can all 200,000 work on the other competitor single board computer? Most of the case, no. So if there's no development, And if those applications don't work, and in most cases, if they can't be compiled or you can't use a certain controller, is that single board computer really comparable to another competitor that is out there, or to the Raspberry Pi, for instance? Absolutely not. And so what you're seeing from most of these reviews are people just talking about hardware specs and hardware only. But you, the viewer, you're going to buy this single board computer. You're going to think that it's the latest and greatest because you saw a content creator put out something about a board. You may see them run some basic YouTube videos, and I put out videos on mine. YouTube videos doesn't take the place of actual 4K or 8K video. You won't see typically people doing editing reviews on a single board computer for whatever reason. They run straight to YouTube, which is a false representation of the hardware and the specs of what the board can or cannot possibly do. And it's misleading. It's totally misleading. And so I definitely agree with what Gamers Nexus has to say about these things, and holding people to a certain standard, or that particular organization. Again, I've not seen it. Linus isn't the only one that has put out some bogus reviews that have at least 1 million followers, whatever the case might be. Even if you only have 5,000 followers or 1,000, you should always strive for some type of accuracy or excellence if you're putting out some type of review for people. But again, it took a lot of courage for Steve to put out that kind of video. I definitely am shocked at a lot of things that I did see, but hopefully Linus learned something. You know, I know that he had a I would say not so appropriate response to the situation. It could have been addressed differently, but you know, like someone said, it's like he signed his beliefs away, or he signed his opinion away off to his employees for accuracy. And that's a very risky thing to do, is to put employees in a position to where they represent your brand or say something in a video review, and you're paying them to do it. You know, we definitely thank Linus for his success and stuff, but that's something that any YouTuber or any content creator definitely needs to be mindful of, is if you have a certain standard about how you want to represent yourself, you just can't easily pay somebody to replace your opinion in regards to those kind of things, and also operate with the utmost care. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the matter. I do have some more single board computer reviews coming up. Just wanted to share a little bit about that information, because again, that is something that has been, if you guys have seen my public posts, been commenting on this for quite some time, where content creators are just kind of slipping up. And I think for the most part, you see a lot of people trying to get one video out a day, and they are sacrificing quantity or quality for quantity. They're not able to provide the accuracy and testing for a lot of things. And I have, like for example, the most recent project I've been working on has been primarily the Orange Pi 5, and I can't put out certain reviews because there's certain increments of testing that needs to be put in place to really give an in-depth analysis for it. I could tell you what I've seen, I could tell you what I've experienced, but to give an overall conclusion, it would take months and months of testing, because there needs to be months of months in development behind that in order to have some type of concrete information. In fact, in order to have, let's say this is Orange Pi 5 that I have, in order to really put out a good concrete test in terms of what it can and cannot do, you need to run it with Debian, Linux, Ubuntu, a number of different front ends to kind of then give a scale of how it performs in different environments. Because I could tell you, for example, different environments will give you different performance. And so anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Just wanted to share some of my thoughts on this situation, and hopefully the community can learn something from this and move forward. So with that being said, I will catch you guys later. You guys all have a great night. Peace out. Bye-bye.